Is it possible to eliminate your triggers and urges to pornography forever? Is it possible that if you've been a man that has struggled with a pornography addiction for any length of time, whether it's 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, or for the entirety of your life, if that is you and you're looking to get on the other side of it, is managing the triggers, managing the urges something that you're going to have to deal with for the remainder of your life? You know, I think one of the biggest misconceptions that men that are going through this journey deal with is the misconception or the belief that once they get on the other side and begin to walk in freedom, that the urges will remain a part of their life. And they'll have to, for the day until the day that they die, have to deal with and manage these urges. You know, I believe that there is a way for us to walk in absolute freedom. And I don't believe a man that is walking in freedom struggles with urges. I don't believe a man that is walking in the purpose of his life, free from pornography, is worried about returning back to his old ways. You know, one of the things that I talk a lot about against 12 steps in their approach to recovery is that every day we must wake up and identify ourselves as somebody that is an addict and is struggling and is powerless to this addiction. Because it is that belief of powerlessness that I think keeps men shackled in mediocrity. It is that belief of powerlessness that holds us in the grip of this addiction. So I want men to understand, and what I want you to understand here today is that if you are walking down this path towards freedom in your life, if you're working towards breaking the chains of this addiction, that freedom is possible for you. That you don't have to deal with and manage and try to manipulate your way in and around these urges for the rest of your life. And it starts with a belief system. It starts with our internal thoughts. It starts with the identity at which we see ourselves through. Before we go too deeper in today's episode, guys, I'll take a quick break, remind you who we are and what it is we're doing here. My name is Coach Frank Rich, founder of Rebuilt Recovery and host of the Rebuilt Man podcast. And it is our mission to help men become better men by quitting porn and rebuilding their lives. So if you're new to the channel here and you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, guys. Turn those post notifications on. And if you're tuning in on the audio, if you can take a moment after today's episode and leave us a 5-star rating and written review, it would mean the absolute world to me. You have no idea what that would truly do and what that would mean to me. So give us 30 seconds, guys. Hit that subscribe button right now. But how do you truly eliminate the urge to return back to pornography from your life? And the answer is your identity. It must start from your identity. Your success in recovery and freedom must be grounded in a truly successful identity change. If the work isn't done on your identity, on who you are, on how you see yourself, then you will constantly stay in this white knuckling behavior. Because your identity precedes your thoughts precede your actions precede your habits, and your habits is what creates the reality and success of your life. So you want to change your thought patterns, change your identity. You want to change your actions, change your thoughts by changing your identity. You want to create new habits, start with new actions, but that follows the right thoughts, which is rooted in an identity. You see, one thing that I believe has separated us and allowed us to pave a way that nobody else has been able to do in this space is this entire approach that everything about success at quitting porn starts with an identity change. And I've given this example time and time again. But I remember listening to a Tony Robbins CD. It might have been Awaken the Giant Within. It was one of his early programs. And he was sharing a story of two people that he had worked with. And both of these individuals were trying to break a smoking habit. Tony brings them up on stage at one of their events and says, hey guys, I know you're working on this, but do either one of you want a cigarette right now? What are your thoughts? Would you like to have a smoke? The first person said, no, thank you, Tony. I'm trying to quit. The second individual said, no, thank you, Tony. I'm no longer a smoker. And what most people won't catch is that although those answers are very similar, there's a small distinction in the identity of those individuals. You see, that first person is still holding on to the belief that they are trying to quit. So every time you say you're trying to quit porn, I hope I succeed at quitting porn. I'm trying not to give in to the temptations. I'm trying to. What you're doing is you're holding on to an identity of the person that is struggling, and you may or may not succeed because you're trying. Now, the second individual had already shifted and changed the paradigm around how they see themselves. It wasn't about trying to do anything. In their mind, they had already conquered this addiction. In their mind, they had already transcended that old self. They were no longer a smoker. So the takeaway here for you is if you're struggling with pornography right now, how do you become the man that no longer looks at porn? How do you make that a standard in your life? You know, recently I went on the Dad Edge podcast with Larry Hagner, the #1 podcast in the world for fathers. Guys, check it out. It's an incredible resource for men out there. And what was interesting is I've known Larry for a couple of years. We've developed somewhat of a, virtual relationship, and we're getting even closer now. He invited me to go and speak at his event later this year. But I knew that Larry had addressed this conversation on his podcast multiple times. I wasn't the first porn guy coming on his show. I wasn't the first time that they're going to be talking about breaking the chains of this addiction. And in fact, he'd probably done it over a dozen times. So leading up to the show, I was kind of wrestling with what new insights am I going to bring? And through this back and forth dialogue that we were having, it was an incredible conversation. Larry says, hey man, there's still some times when I'm alone at home and I'm avoiding work that the thought pops into my mind, and I had to deal with it, and I had to not give in to that temptation. I said, Larry, I don't believe that, man. You're a successful entrepreneur. You've competed in bodybuilding. You know what it takes to transform your identity. What if in those moments of isolation, porn wasn't an option? And he had this aha. I saw it in his eyes as we were talking. Because he said, you know what, Frank, sometimes I'll take the kids. Larry's the father of 4. Sometimes I'll take the kids to fast food. We'll get them Taco Bell. We'll get them McDonald's. We'll get them Chick-fil-A. But I don't eat those things, is what he told me. I'll get them for my kids, but I'm not tempted in the restaurant to eat anything on the menu. And there's the answer. You have to change the menu at which you're serving your life from. You have to take porn off of the entree list. You have to remove the option that no matter what is going on, I could be stressed, anxious, tired, triggered. The option to return back to pornography is eliminated. That's becoming the man that no longer looks at porn. That's stepping into and embracing and creating a new identity for ourselves. And then showing up every single day as that individual. So stop thinking about how to deal with triggers. Stop thinking about how to manage urges. Stop thinking about how to not give in to temptations. Eliminate the option from porn from your life. And I can guarantee the rest will take care of itself. Guys, if you want some help, I talked about at the beginning, I don't believe 12 steps is an effective approach. There's some good insights in there, right? It's obviously been around for over 100 years. It's rooted in perhaps some outdated science, but it's been fundamental and transformational in many people's lives. But I think it can be done better. And I've actually taken that on myself and created a brand new 12 steps to breaking the chains from pornography addiction. And we're giving away the training on it absolutely free today. If you visit www.rebuiltrecovery.com/12 steps, you can put your email address in and you get access to this training right away. It'll walk you through the steps of breaking the chains. It'll walk you through the steps of creating this new identity. It'll walk you through the steps of building a life that is porn free. Rebuiltrecovery.com/12 steps, guys. Check it out. But if you got value, subscribe, rate, review, comment, share this with as many people as possible. Your host, Frank Rich. We love you guys.